Skip Lawrence with PhoenixvilleNews.com. We're here with Paul Drucker, candidate for the State House seat in the 157th State House District, the seat formerly held by Carol Rubley, who's retiring. Paul, welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Tell us a bit about yourself. I'd like for our audience to know something about you.
Okay. Well, I was born and raised in a little town in northern New Jersey, Rutherford to be exact. I went to Lehigh University, and then I went to Boston University Law School. After I graduated law school, I came to Philadelphia. I got a job clerking in federal court. I worked there for a year. Then I joined the district attorney's office. Was Arlen Specter was the DA at that time, and I was there for a few years. Then I went into private practice, started my own firm, ran that firm for approximately 20 years, generally representing individuals doing employment discrimination, civil rights violations, things of that nature. During the time period that I was practicing law, I was a hearing committee member for the Pennsylvania Disciplinary Board. That means that when attorneys are charged with violating the canons of ethics, they are in effect tried by other attorneys who are selected for that process, and I was one of those attorneys. We are judge and jury for the attorneys that are charged. I am a member, currently am a member of the Fee Disputes Committee for the Bar Association. I'm a certified mediator, and I lectured to other lawyers for continuing education on trial issues, because basically I'm a trial lawyer, and things of that nature. Outside of the practice of law, I was a board of director of First Bank of Philadelphia. Finally, certainly foremost perhaps, in 1976 I married Robin Forbes, and we have 3 wonderful children, Rachel, Andrew, Ben, in that order, and who I love very much.
You are a resident of Tredyffrin Township?
Yes, we have been residents for approximately 27 years, not approximately, 27 years.
And in Tredyffrin Township, a member of the Board of Supervisors as well?
Yes, I was the first Democratic elected official in the history of Tredyffrin Township. I was elected the same term as Mark DeFelici-Antonio, but since I was a special election to fill a seat from the previous supervisor who resigned, I became supervisor in December. So I was in effect the first Democrat elected office holder in the history of the township.
Tell me a bit about that experience. How did that work?
Well, I think it worked well. I think that if you ask anybody who sat on the board with me, they will agree that I was a productive supervisor, that I accomplished things, I got things done. I used to say that I was a minority member of the ruling junta. And I was one of 2 Democrats on a 7-person board. And in order to accomplish anything, I couldn't bullet through. I couldn't force the issue. I had to work with the other people on the board. And I accomplished a number of things while I was supervisor. And I was able to work with the other supervisors in operating the town and getting things done. And I thought from a personal perspective, I found it tremendously rewarding. I really enjoyed being a supervisor.
What were the major issues that the board faced during the time you were there?
Well, there was and still is in fact a major issue. The turnpike is going through and expanding from 4 lanes to 6 lanes, and I was represented or became the liaison for a group of residents called the Great Valley Association, and I worked with them to draft the what is now a zoning regulation for the township for sound ordinances, so that when the turnpike builds, they will have to comply with the zoning ordinance of the township, and I worked with the GVA on that. I think that I am single-handedly responsible for the fact that Wilson Park has a what they call an all-tots playground. Tredyffrin has this phenomenal facility. Wilson Park is a wonderful place. It cost $16 million, and when I got on the board, a constituent of mine who has a child who has serious physical disabilities or infirmities said to me that they went to the park expecting their child to be able to play there, and they couldn't. There were no facilities for handicapped children. I was as upset as she. And I went to, actually, with Steve Norzini, who was head of parks, and I raised the issue, and I thought Steve was tremendously responsive. And we now have a very nice, they call it all tots, but it's an all handicapped playground for children and other people who have physical disabilities.
Why a state house position? Why now?
Well, if I can change the question a little, what you're asking me is, why am I doing this?
Mm-hmm.
And at the risk of repeating a little of what I said earlier, because why I'm doing this is part of why I am. I came to Philly a long time ago because the job that I was offered out of law school was the kind of job you just don't turn down. I clerked in federal court. When I was done clerking in federal court, I originally expected to go back to Boston, which is where I graduated, or to New York. I wasn't sure. But I was here a year, and I looked around, and I really liked Philadelphia. I had an opportunity to go to the DA's office. Senator Specter was the DA then. A lot of the leaders in the state and the city were in the office at that time. Governor Rendell was the DA then. Lynn Abraham was the DA then. It was an incredibly talented group of people. And the opportunity to work with that group of people and to be in the DA's office, which is something I wanted to do, was just phenomenal as far as I was concerned. So I decided to stay in Philadelphia. And actually, in a sense, that makes me unique in the legal profession because almost every lawyer in this town, when I say this town, I mean the Philadelphia area, either grew up in the area or went to school in the area or did both. And I am neither. So in that sense, I am unique, and I stayed in Philadelphia because I chose to stay in Philadelphia. And I was in the DA's office for a number of years, and I left in '76. Started my own practice. And my wife and I, we had our first child in '78, and we decided that we wanted to move to the suburbs. We had 2 children. We were running out of space, and we came from the suburbs. We wanted to live in the suburbs. So we looked around, and ultimately moved to Tredyffrin, again, because we chose to, because we liked the area. We have lived in the same house for 27 years. When I moved to Chester County, the saying was, Chester County where there are more cows than people. They don't say that anymore. But the point is that we've been here, we've grown with Chester County. I understand the issues of Chester County. I represent and have always represented the little guy, almost always against the big guy. So that from a professional perspective, I help people. That's part of what I am, and both professionally and personally, I think. In 2005, the opportunity came to run for the Board of Supervisors, which you had asked me about earlier, and truly didn't know what I was getting into. And in reflection, it was one of the best decisions I ever made. I really enjoyed being a supervisor. It was an opportunity to help get things done. It was an opportunity to help people. When this opportunity opened up, it was an opportunity to help people. It was an opportunity to do things. It was also an opportunity to go help Harrisburg. Because I thought then and I think now, not only does my district need my help, but I think Harrisburg may need my help.
Let's go on in a second segment to some of those issues,
okay.
To some Chester County issues. But before we leave some biography, I want to ask you about a picture that appears on your website. Can you give us some background on this picture here?
Yeah.
It's a classic shot that looks a lot like Bill Bradley playing basketball.
It's good you use Bill Bradley as an analysis, because when I first met my campaign manager, Rex, and we first had a discussion, and he effectively downloaded me, when all was said and done, and this came out of the blue, he said, "What person do you respect the most?" And my answer, without thinking, was Bill Bradley. But the point of the picture is, I got stuffed, I got slammed, I missed the shot, and the ref didn't give me the call.
Paul, thank you very much.